I mean, this discussion about e-learning has been going on for 20 years, I would say, certainly in the corporate world where I come from. It's been around for a lot longer than in colleges, and so we should be really learning from them. But how many big companies now have got their own universities where most of their learning is delivered through what is known as blended learning, and that's really a mixture. So e-learning doesn't sit just on its own, but should also have tutor support. It should also have some classroom activities and certainly some other ways of learning, maybe by encouraging students to do their own research. I think the colleges need to move faster. I think they have got used to, it's a kind of public sector situation where they've got used to doing things fairly slowly, and you know, why do it if it's not broke, don't try and change it. And what I see in the private sector is much more agility, much more moving with the times, much more dynamic approaches. Sometimes that's not always good because they might leap into every initiative that comes along. And there's got to be a balance between, you know, being more agile, looking at new ways of learning and balancing that against we've always done it this way. When I was in training many years ago, when they first started talking about online learning and these kinds of things, everybody said, well, that's the end of the classroom, nobody will employ us freelance trainers anymore, and that's been proved to be completely wrong. There is a place for all of it, and I think people need to start to embrace that and see it as yet another tool in the tutor or the trainer's toolbox, really. I think just the word technophobe worries me, really. So if somebody's saying I'm nervous or I'm unsure or I don't see how this is going to work, then I would say that this is about having a good conversation about it and helping them to see where they benefit from it. So I'd be inclined, if it was a classroom activity, I'd be inclined to get them to explore the issue and see what they can pull out of it. And it's better to do that alongside somebody who's not wildly good at it. It's a kind of finding your way together. Sometimes people can be put off simply because they see it's all flashy, all moving, it's all, everybody else seems to be in control. And that's what turns people into technophobes, I think. Well, I think they've got to ask the questions at corporation meetings, and they've got to get some good answers back as to how it's progressing and what might be holding it up and what are the barriers. I mean, we're particularly lucky in this college because we have governors who represent some of the very biggest companies. We have a representative from Intel, we have Nationwide, we've got the National Trust. There are companies here have already enabled them. We have companies here where they are using this kind of technology all day, every day. And I think they can bring that to the party as such. And certainly, with my other hat on, I teach on the CIPD Learning and Development Programme, and I have students who are already trainers or are close to becoming regular trainers, and they're all coming from organisations where they want to learn about e-learning and they want to learn about these methods because their organisation already uses it. You know, I've got one student on a current course at the moment who's actually described as an e-technology specialist, and he's coming to learn how he can put his learning and development into the right mechanism, if you like, for delivery, and he won't be doing classroom delivery.
Right, we need a clear plan of what it looks like in our FE business area, and from there I identified, instead of it being one aspect of online provision, that it should be spread across several units, and thereby everybody in the team is involved in developing online content. And so I think once we got that plan and identified which units, which members of the staff, and you know, the detail of which aspects would be the best to be put on online, that's how we went forward. In terms of how we are with it, we've actually already achieved 15% online content ready for September 2015.